Happy Sunday, dear souls. Namaskar. ¿Cómo amanecieron? That literally means, how did you wake up this morning in Spanish? And as always, I am Mila, your astro educator from the U.S. Midwest, ascendant of Mexicana, Mexica, Mestiza healers, and I help create safe and loving educational spaces for adults and families who are discovering and seeking ancient and hidden wisdom within themselves and within their loved ones. You find me here every Sunday, and also you can find me on Instagram at Aquario Inc., Aquario Soul Inc. So I'm blessed to share this timeless message with you, and as in all other Sundays messages, I wanted to start off with a color of the day, speak about a message for the week, and then add a personal story for you. So our color of the day is white for Monday, or Moon Day as it's known, lunes in Spanish, which is also where we get the word lunar, lunar. So when you wear the color white, you're really honoring the moon, and you're honoring the energy that is emanating from the moon. And that energy is a yin energy, which is the divine feminine energy. When you wear this color with intention, therefore, it is soothing, and it can really help to round out, especially those hectic Monday mornings, right? Or at least hectic start of the weeks. So, as I mentioned, the energy of the card of this week, we are using the Earth Magic Oracle card deck. And this week, the card that was delivered and drawn was Winter Solstice Reflection. And as you can see, the underpinning message, reflection, tells us a lot. What I noticed is that we actually didn't get this card too long ago. We actually had this card about maybe 3 weeks, almost a month ago. So what this tells me is that our ancestors, our guides, our creator, our source is asking us to really pay attention to the message of reflection, and it's deliberate. What does it mean? Well, it led me to my own personal story, and so I guess I wanted to share with you right now that something that I'm not, I'm maybe not too, I'm not sharing something that's too far out there, because you can kind of tell. I used to have the most distractible mind, and still do in many ways. I could not stay with a course, I could not stay on a task or a problem, at work or at home for very long before I had to find some excuse to get up and just move around or talk with somebody on the phone or go to the water cooler at work. Yes, I said water cooler, so I'm dating myself here. And it wasn't until many, many years later, really until I was in my 40s, that I was diagnosed with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And what this meant for me was actually an astounding breakthrough, because it really helped me to dig in deep to what other things were happening in my life. But even with that said, even with that information, I didn't get the help that I needed right away. In fact, I had already pretty much disturbed, if not almost destroyed, many of the important relationships that were really keeping me grounded at that time. And it really required me to keep a journal, and to really, I found out over time, look at the repeated cycles of despair, self-hate, the suffering that I really went through, that affected not just myself, obviously, but my family, my child, and my work, my social life. And I really needed to face myself in the mirror. And what this did is it really required me to kind of start taking inventory and have an inner self-reflection about allowing help, receiving help, and being able to then finally connect the dots of my life, or in my case, it's like the abstract art of my life. And actually, you know, now that we think about it, what does reflection mean now for us? Many people can relate, and yet I want us to think about how when we reframe things, it really puts a new spin on things. So many people only know that we live by the Julian calendar right now, that reflects that the month of January is the start of the new year, and that's kind of when we make our grand intentions. But it wasn't always that way. In pre-Roman times, the year was actually the start of the new year was actually in the spring, in March. The spring equinox was based on the cycles of the moon and the sun, the rotations around the earth. So in ancient times and in truly astrological terms, the new year really begins in March with the spring. And it is then that we are asked to really reflect on the past year. It is when we are reminded about taking stock and knowing what did we do in the previous year to bring us to where we are now. What things do we want to change? What things do we want to revisit? And the shadow side is important because just as the winter solstice is the time when we know that the shortest days have now gone over the hump, and we are now in the era where after the winter solstice we get the longer days of light. Well, the spring equinox is that new beginning again, and it's a new cycle, and we are asked to think and remind ourselves of the decisions we've made, of the blessings that we've had, but really take stock. And so how do we do that? We do that either through a journal, through meditation, through song, dance, fellowship, whatever the transport vehicle is for you to get to that space where you are using now your intuitive gifts. That's when you can start to actually see yourself in the mirror and reflect what those, some questions such as, are we following our hearts? Are we learning from our gifts? Are we in tune with what our ancestors' messages are to us? Are we in a good place? Are we doing what we want? Are we getting what we want? Are we getting what we need? So these are fascinating questions, and actually this is a fascinating journey. So we are all privileged in some way, and we all have gifts that we need to tap into. One of the best ways to do that is through your natal chart. So as I've mentioned before in previous videos, this is a tremendous guide to helping answer ultimate questions that we have about ourselves. And if you have not done so yet, I am going to put some sites in the description box below. If you need some additional help, I will also put how to reach me for that. And I will put a few a bit of information as well, that you need to know what your birth time is. You need to know what your place of birth is, as well as, of course, your date of birth. And once you know that, you're on your way. You will come up, you will discover it's a very challenging chart, to be sure, but as long as you can start with the divine three. What is that? Your sun sign, which is us in the Western world already know about sun astrology. Your sun sign, your rising sign, or your what's known as the ascendant sign, and your moon sign. Those are going to give you a good deep understanding of a little bit more scratching the surface of you and your blueprint on this earth and your divine purpose. So we begin discovering that as we contrast it then with the transits. And the transits, when we speak about those, think about it as we get a daily weather report. They're not always reliable, yet the transits are like our own daily energy report. And you will learn so much as you go along. So as we keep moving on in this journey. So remember that you're not alone. And that's why I created this channel. I created this channel so that we could be juntos, unidos, which is together and united. And we have so many stories that we want to share. So consider this your brief respite within a busy week. And I am so thankful that you have chosen to spend a few minutes of your time here with me. So I am sending loving and healing energies to you for a joyous and fulfilling week this week. And I welcome your comments and questions. I'm here to share and explore with you, affirm your journey, and as much as possible, be with you. I'm also on Instagram. Remember that if you subscribe, you will also get my updated videos. And if you share this with someone else, that is a form of energetic exchange. And I believe completely and totally that as we move into the space of people understanding more who they are and affirming who they are and can share with others, that is a form of energy exchange that is transcendent, and it really reaches out to the entire circle around you, to the sphere around you. So with that said, until next week, please, peace, blessings, and hasta la próxima. Be well. Namaste.